Mr. Edward Clark, would you like to tell something about yourself?
Well, I've most of my working life, I've been a factory rep for myself
Okay.
or for Hush Puppy Shoes. I started out as a rep for Hush Puppy Shoes in 1960,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I guess, 82 years ago.
Mm.
I mean, not 82, but it'd be something to
Okay.
do the math on that for me.
All right.
That'd be 40 years plus uh, 18, I guess.
Oh, okay.
50, 58 years.
58 years. Great. Okay.
Yes.
So that's your total experience. You have been working for 58 years.
Yes, in selling stores.
Okay.
Back then, I sold shoe stores, department stores. I was a rep for Hush Puppy Shoes, one of the reps that I'd ever hired that was at that age.
Mm-hmm.
And I covered initially Montana and Wyoming,
Okay.
and they I was amazed that I got hired because there was all these guys trying to get the job. And I asked the sales manager a week or two later after we were out in the field together, how come he hired me?
Okay.
And he said, well, all of these guys have a lot of financial responsibilities, and that's a lean territory up there.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't think a married man with a family could survive on the income up there.
Okay.
And so he was brutally honest. He says, you were the guy that had the ability, and we could see it in you, but you didn't need to make as much money as these other guys. So that's the way Wolverine Worldwide was. They were always thinking about the welfare of their factory reps.
Mm-hmm. So how did you come into the business of the knives, the automatic knives to be precise?
Well, I've always liked knives, like a lot of guys, all my life. I got more scars from when I was a Boy Scout that I still have on my hands because my hobby was to see how sharp I could sharpen my hunting knives.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you
I
already
was
had an
raised on
interest.
well, I had that interest, and I was always kind of interested in the switchblades back there. They called them that.
Mm-hmm.
They were copies or the real thing from Italy.
Oh, okay.
And then there was the hunting knives that were popular because in the West here, there's a lot of deer hunters and elk hunters, and they take a lot of wild game. Like I was raised on a dairy farm, and when it of our property included the river bank, as the river flowed by our property, but there was always, as the river changed courses, it created an ideal habitat for ducks and geese, and they raised their young in that, and it was a real popular stopover.
Mm-hmm.
The water was good, and there was a lot of feed for the geese and ducks on one side of the pond that was created.
Okay.
So basically, I had a love for. We'd have to clean our ducks and things.
Mm-hmm.
I never went deer hunting, but I did a lot of bird shooting, like pheasants and that we used knives. But anyway, I sold shoes, and that's what I had to know a lot about.
So
mainly.
you have done a lot of work, and then you have reached this success, right?
Well, I got to the point that I had to fire my bosses. You know, when you get independent and want to do it your way. But I'd been taught by some of the best commercial salesmen,
Mhm.
probably in the country.
Mhm.
So I become very efficient at calling on stores and selling merchandise.
Great. And like this consignment arrives to you from a different place, like it's in the harbor, and then it reaches to you. Is that correct?
That's correct, but back then we had 5 or 6 factories around the Michigan area,
Hmm.
and so everything I sold was made in the USA. But when the over the years, all those U.S. factories have been forced out of business. I hope they can come back somewhat,
Hmm.
but the price on things
Hmm.
is one of the major things that you consider when you're selling wholesale, because the stores have to cover all their overhead and
Mhm.
commissions and everything. So price is a really important thing. Back then, we used to sell hush puppies $10 a pair, and now they're $100,
Right.
and imported on top.
Right.
So the world's changed,
Correct.
and we basically, when I stopped selling hush puppies, I sold a lot of other things. Like we had a lot, probably 400 stores that we supplied costume jewelry. A lot of drug stores, a lot of variety stores, a lot of department stores for clothing, and so over the period of time, what customers want to buy changes. So unless you change it with it, you're not going to sell much, because once you sell a store, you really haven't sold it. It's when the customer buys it out of the store that you've really sold it, and you have to look at it that way when you become part of the team as a salesman to help the retailers make a profit, and
Mhm.
so they ask you often what to buy
Right.
when
So,
you.
like, which are the biggest stores are they take the product from you? Could you please name us a few stores?
Well, I used to sell all the department stores, like in Las Vegas. I sold stores on the Strip, jewelry. I sold Circus in there, to a gift store.
Mhm.
At that time, I lived in Albuquerque,
Okay.
and
Bolchi, excellent.
my territory at that time with hush puppies was West Texas, the panhandle of Oklahoma, and New Mexico.
Mhm.
And
Now, also
I
tell me.
left them
Yeah.
in about '84, and I moved back to where I had a lot of family in the Salt Lake area,
Hmm.
and we formed our business in 1985 here in the Salt Lake.
Oh, okay, great. And like, if I ask you, like, which are the biggest stores who go ahead and take the knives from you?
Well, almost everybody that we sell buys our knives today because of the value versus the price. We
Hmm.
import them directly from
Can you
several
please
different factories
can you please
in
name a
China.
few? Can you please name a few stores who actually are selling your knives, which you actually give them, like you sell to them?
We have about 300 stores in total, a little over
Oh,
300,
okay.
that we supply knives to.
Mhm.
One of our biggest uh, dealers, and their Ace Hardware Store brand
Hmm.
or franchise. We like them because they're actually individually owned, and they buy as a group and draw out of their association warehouses back east. But they don't have knives like we have, because their warehouses, they in the states they're located, they're not legal. There's
Okay.
39 states that the knives are legal.
Mhm.
The federal government, with their regulations, are legal.
Okay. Great.
But there are a few states like that have limits on blade length and things like that,
Okay.
that limit us for selling in 39 states.
So could you please name few knives which are there in the stock right now, and people who go ahead for selling? Could you please name few knives?
Well, this is our most popular and biggest volume stock numbers, and they're all automatic knives. We kind of specialized in automatic knives.
Mhm.
But the first one I'm looking at here is an SKF 039,
Okay.
and it is a black, all black, the black handle, the black Tonto blade,
Hmm.
has jimping across the top of the blade. Yet one of the reasons why the stores like them is they're safe to carry on your person.
Okay.
They have a button that they have a real strong action, almost want to jump out of your hand as you open them.
Oh, great.
But they have a safety that's very robust, and it rarely breaks. And a lot of automatic knives, the safeties are not that effective on them.
Okay.
This safety, the tension on it is adjustable with the pivot pin of the knife, because it rotates around the pivot pin. And if you want it to have more tension, you just tighten the pivot pin a little bit, and it's tight. So it stays in its safety position very
Okay.
well.
So this one sells really good. Any other knife which you want to let us know?
Yeah, well, there's 3 models that we really sell a lot of.
Okay.
Probably our very biggest volume one is it's a drop point blade,
Hmm.
and its number is SKF 036.
036. Okay.
And we have a larger model that it has about a 5-inch handle and a 4-inch blade.
Hmm.
It is SKF 037,
Hmm.
which has a blade like a Bowie knife on the blade
Okay.
that slopes down.
Mhm.
And all of them have basically the same type of safety.
Great.
And they all have clips, so you can clip them in your pocket, on your pant
Okay.
pocket top,
Mhm.
or you can clip them on your belt.
And is there any colorful knife as well, like colorful handle?
Well, we have another handle that's red and blue,
Okay. Great.
but it's not our best seller. Those 3 are our best sellers. That comes in 4th.
Okay.
And a lot of people, when they're buying knives, they want them. A lot of people don't realize that if you get a colorful knife, you can see it in the dark if you hit it with a flashlight or something.
Right, right. And
But they like black
black.
ones because they won't reflect the light back, so people can see them. So they're dark, like in the night, camouflage.
Right. And according to the popularity, like according to the selling, which knife actually sells number one, then number two, then number three, number four? Could you just name it by 1 to 5?
I let's see. I don't have the stock number in my mind here of the one that's the most colorful, but it's in that same series. And
Name 3 knives which are good in selling.
3 more, or 3
But
and
just 2 to 3 name of the knives.
okay. There's SKF035.
Okay.
That's another. That's one that we'll receive this week, presently. So it'll be on our web page as soon as it comes
Right.
into stock.
Right.
And SKF036, which is the best-selling one that we have.
Okay.
The next best-selling is SKF039,
Okay.
and then it's SKF037 is the 4th one, and I predict that the new one, the SKF035, will probably be the 2nd best, and the 039 will be the 3rd, and the SKF037 will be the 4th in the rate that they sell out of the stores.
Okay, great. And these knives can, if any individual comes to buy, so can they buy it or they have to take it directly from the store? Because you are not dealing with any individual, you are dealing with the stores.
We do a lot of business with the stores, and we give them some something that I don't know anybody in the industry gives them. Every time we call on them to work their stock, we pick up everything that they bought previously, give them credit, full credit, for it, and they get brand new displays and assorted selections. So they don't, they almost sell out, but they always sell out of the ones I've named as the top ones first. Even though we pack more in the selection, they still sell out of it first.
Right. So individual cannot buy from you. That's what you are trying to say? Yeah, like general public?
No. Anyone can buy from us.
Okay.
We require to get the wholesale prices that you buy at least $100 worth of merchandise at a time. So we ship it to our customers free.
Okay.
When you pay, these knives retail usually for $20 retail, and we class anyone as a wholesale buyer that buys at least $100 at a time.
All right. Okay, great. And like it was really nice talking to you, Edward. And like we are directly from we will be going ahead and putting your video on YouTube as well. So like in one word, like in one sentence, if I go ahead and want to mention Edward Clark, the automatic knife guy, I believe I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That's what most of my customers call me. When I walk through the door, they smile because they want more knives. They're glad to see me because they need more inventory.
Great.
The thing that I have learned over the years is what you to be successful dealing with professional buyers
Hmm.
is that you help them buy what they want, and they want what their customers want. So you get in step and deliver to them what they need, and
Okay.
and what they need is merchandise that their customers want. So uh, a lot of people think selling is changing people's mind. Basically, they know what they need because they're dealing with people that put up the money for the whole chain of things.
Right, right. That's very well said, Mr. Edward Clark. And Mr. Edward Clark, I came to know like Abby Smith. He is actually doing your website and the search engine optimization. So are those people doing a really good job or not?
They really do a great job. They're very professional, and they do for me what I try to do for my stores. They give me what I need uh, and do what I want.
Okay, great. So if I want to go ahead and rate their services from 1 to 10, how much, where 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how much would you rate them?
I would rate them the very highest.
The
I
very
don't know how they could improve on what they're actually doing. Uh, they've set me up a web page that uh, I couldn't find anyone that would do the overall program like they know and do.
Okay.
They coordinate all the listings, and they post DVDs on the site, which is fantastic because pictures and moving pictures and that are more impressive than what you can describe without showing people.
Okay, great, great. So it was really nice talking to you, Mr. Edward Clark. Thank you for providing us this valuable time of yours.